We begin by visiting the Indian agriculture during the course of the history when we were hugely dependent on foreign countries. I'm talking of after independence and then situation prevailing in 1954, and from there until now when we are going to talk about Atmanirbharta. So Indian agriculture time machine, that's what I'm talking about. So what I did, I searched out some press reports from New York Times through their archives, and what it came out that in 1954-55, 4 tractors from Moscow arrived in India at a price of $877 each, and that was the first step taken towards mechanization and towards progress in modernization of Indian agriculture. Policy innovation was proposed by India in 1961 when the DG of ICAR, Vinay Raja Sen, he proposed a plan to the UN Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld when he suggested that a corpus of $400 million food reserve may be created, which could be used instead of money to finance development of economically retarded areas. In 1966, 29 November, the reports were that India's port facilities could barely meet the country's annual import needs. We were heavily dependent on imports of food grains at that time. As I said just now, the world is more dependent on food imports today than what it was 20 years ago. So the agriculture of all the countries, it's interconnected. So we can see this slide which shows that everybody is importing something and exporting something. And today we are not much dependent in imports, as I tried to show from the earlier slides when I picked up some press clippings from New York Times. Now, here I tried to show what has been the impact of COVID-19 on India's agriculture sector. A number of items, number of areas where it was detrimental to India's agriculture. We have tried to show that in inputs, for example, in seed, there was a drop in sales, agricultural insurance, sugarcane, plantation crops. In poultry, there was a drop because there was a drop of maize market price, and it's used there. Farming equipment, horticulture, poultry, soybean, fruit, floriculture. But surprisingly, there was a positive impact in a number of areas. Rice was one of the biggest harvest in the last 5 years. Record fertilizer sales, fisheries, aquaculture, and as I will demonstrate in subsequent slides, in terms of startups, in terms of digital economy and linkages, there was a very positive improvement during this COVID period. There is a very good study which I have referred to, Excel Omnivore study. And in this study, which came up during December only this month, the impact of COVID-19 on India's agri-tech sector has been analyzed. And it has been found that while the food supply chain, inputs, etc., have been badly affected, as I said, it has gained tremendously in farmer platforms, B2B, agri marketplaces, rural fintech business, farm to consumer brands, app-based agri advisories, etc., saw impressive growth. And there are a number of reasons which I've tried to explain. For example, now people are very conscious of health, whether the food is good enough to reach their table. So they want to trace the origin from the farm to the consumption and so on. So digitally, it is possible to track. Pandemic helped a shift from traditional, informal and analog markets towards innovative, formal and digital ones. Agri-tech startups came up in a big way to ease lockdown-led bottlenecks and to avoid traveling, aggregation in input and output side, and build on digital technology. There was a new potential for direct trade between farmers and agri stakeholders, such as traders, processors, and exporters, and thus disintermediation. So smartphones, whatever we envisaged at that time, 20 years ago, we have far exceeded. And there is a very deep and wide penetration in our rural areas. There has been spread of internet, Vani and low-cost data, making farmers increasingly tech-savvy, especially the younger generation. Increased adoption of precision agriculture, ad-based crop advisory services and farm mechanization. Companies like Cropin saw a spike in demand for remote monitoring solutions. Some others like Fasal and Ruwaka increased demand for their hardware solutions. And startups working towards improving market linkages between farmers, traders, and buyers gained, like Agnest, Samunnati, Stellabs, Arya, accelerated the digitization of agri markets and warehouse storage by farmers. For example, one of the startups, what they did was they compiled data on the availability of storage facilities in the region, and farmers could access that and see where they could store their produce. Stellar saw 5 times growth in demand for its valuable-based daily services. Modern day startups, they are enablers of agri-tech revolution. This Biject, for example, is B2B agri-commodities trading platform, supply chain management, facilitates free trade of agricultural commodities. Supply chain is closely linked with agricultural traders and transporters. And the investors, Sequoia is one of the biggest one in the world, and RTP Global, Omidyar, all these, they are investing there. It enables traders, wholesalers, and food processors to keep a ledger of their transactions, transparent pricing, optimize logistics, improve working cycles, and so on. Digitization is the key word for all these startups using modern technology. The financing that got materialized during lockdown alone, the point I was trying to raise that during the COVID, they saw a big boost, the agri-tech. So April to May, we could see these startups, they got financing, goes Egg Producer Clover, they had Intello Labs and Biject. So I tried to demonstrate what are the business areas and how much is the funding they got and the funding agency from where they got. So it is very interesting that the COVID-19, instead of dampening the spirit of these startups, it in fact gave them a big boost because digitization was the key word. So again, this slide shows in 2020, in the year till date, which are the various startups and what are they doing. Warehousing and supply chain, for example. Funding, they got pre-series A, B, C, and from where. Let me mention briefly about the efficiency in irrigation. Last night, during his, I'm sure you would have seen the PM's speech to farmers yesterday. And he mentioned specifically that our farmers भोले हैं, वो सोचते हैं कि जब तक कि पूरे खेत में पानी नहीं फैलेगा तब तक उनकी फसल को फायदा नहीं होगा. This is something which they need to change because there is so much wastage. We are using almost 80% of our water consumption in agriculture, and producing the output is hardly 30% out of that. The rest goes waste. So instead, if we only apply water as per need through micro irrigation, through techniques of drip irrigation, sprinkler, variety of modern technical methods, apply where it is needed, when it is needed, and direct to the roots, probably we can save on water, which is becoming scarce, and increase our productivity and quality of. Interested to see, Google has just come out an app by which, for a multilingual country like India, there could be a real-time natural language translation and cloud fog, edge computing, and so on. So wearable and augmented humans. So you could be a walking computer with, all wrapped around stuff and be anywhere. The present and future of food tech investment opportunity. Food tech is extremely important, and this is going to see an explosion in technology. And when we talk of food tech, we not only talk about food processing, we talk of packaging also, the modern techniques of packaging, the storage, the transportation, and so on. How can you make sure that you reach the produce to the end consumer quickly? Investment trends to watch, as I said, ag tech, plant health and nutrition, animal health and nutrition, equipment and data, and food technology includes cultured meat. For people like us, I'm a vegetarian. I mean, there are people who are talking about cultured meat, novel ingredients, plant-based proteins, food safety, and so on. Amazing stuff we can't even imagine. Some of these films we see on Netflix and Hotstar and so on, to see how things are. Gone are the days when kids used to see the Star Wars and so on. So these things are becoming reality now. By the way, in result shows me, the other day I was reading an article that Walmart, when they bought Flipkart for something like $18 billion, they are probably all, from the media report, they are probably going in for a public issue of $40 billion and so on, where their evaluation is that. Whatever it is, I'm not talking about this, but the investors, they are not fools. When they come to India and they invest in India, they see the potential. They see the demographic advantage that India has. They see the potential on the ground where we are. So farm automation, agri-fintech, agri-insurance, one of the key barriers is a lack of mainstream agriculture research community and government agriculture department not adequately supporting and partnering, but yes, it's coming up. FDI in the agriculture sector, which is also part of the theme of talk today, and Professor Mani, he alluded to this. With 57.35 million hectares, India holds the second largest agricultural land in the world. Tremendous potential, rising population, globalization, aspirational population. Agriculture is a highly attractive sector. Next, please. At present, 100% FDI is allowed through automatic routes in many of these areas, and floriculture, horticulture, aquaculture, apiculture, cultivation of vegetables and seeds, planting material, etc. All these areas, FDI is allowed either automatically or 100% through government route, freely available. MEA, by the way, Ministry of External Affairs, has just launched a site just about 8 or 10 days ago, link farmers with investors, www.indbiz.gov.in. So this is to connect the farmers and their organizations, organizations, it could be the EPIDA and direct farmers, with foreign investors. So you can log in and you can connect. You can get investment from abroad. You can also sell your produce abroad. So it's a two-way linkage through this MEA website. A very interesting development. Just now mentioned that some of the private corporations also are taking a lot of interest in investing in R&D. Google AI, Google X, you can see they have done a lot. You can log in on Google X and see what they are doing, artificial intelligence in agriculture. Badwani AI is doing a lot in this area. This Escorts, Rajananda Innovation Lab, they are doing a lot. And by the way, you have seen their stock market rising. Their tractor is becoming extremely popular, agricultural mechanization, their equipment, and they are doing a lot of new things. 5 tech startups they have incubated, and more are coming in. They are getting funding. A quick word about this: these 3 Central Farm Acts, which you can see a lot of coverage in media, and we have learned a lot about these. But probably it is not realized that all that we have talked about would not be possible unless we have these farm laws coming into place, because 80% of our farm holdings, as you rightly mentioned, they are less than 2 hectares and small and marginal farmers. They don't have wherewithal to invest, and where they don't know about these technologies, how are they going to invest these things? So unless they combine together into FPOs, farmers producer organizations, and they become part of the larger value chain. And I've studied these farm laws very, very meticulously. I don't see anything in these farm laws which could be a matter of concern. You are only adding to the choices. If I am a farmer, I have a choice to go to Mandi. I have a choice to enter into a contract with a private party and sell him. If suppose we are selling something at 1,500 rupees a ton, and I get 20 or 2,500 rupees a ton, sure, I should get it. There's no downside to it. And I'm sure many youngsters would get startups to collect all this. So this could be another area. But I don't know why there is a reservation. But all these things would be dependent, the application of technology and the linkages and so on, through these farm reforms. Otherwise, we are stuck in the past, going to mandis, and we can't change to new things and new technologies, and new forward digital technology is going to be the driver of the future of technology, future of agriculture. Operationalization of 7 mission mode project, which you also mentioned, AgTech innovators. India requires at least one AgTech startup in every Gram Panchayat. Capital flows into AgTech startup ecosystems. Mainstream agriculture research community and government agriculture departments. India is among the 15 leading exporters of agricultural products in the world. Hence, digital technology investment in agricultural value chains. High time, as I said, Government of India considers creation of a Ministry of Rural Infrastructure Technology Investment